So I think it's important to cover some of the notable facility management trends and see how they have influenced current regulations and mandates. So let's begin in the 1950s and 60s. This is where facility management's growth really began. The post-World War II era brought about expansion and modernization of the government facilities. And this expansion and modernization resulted in a strategic focus on planning, design, and long-term management of facilities. Also a fun fact, love him or hate him, but did you know that the IBM alumni Ross Perot Sr. is credited with coining the term facilities management? That was new to me. So in the 1970s, the energy crisis of the 1970s meant an increased awareness of energy consumption and environmental impacts within the United States. And as a result, facility managers began to prioritize energy efficiency and sustainability within their operations. In the 1980s, the widespread adoption of computer technology began revolutionizing facility management processes. You might be familiar with the term computerized maintenance management system, also referred to as a CMMS. Well, over 40 years ago, the first CMMS was created to help manage facilities. Then in the 1990s, organizations began exploring outsourcing and public-private partnerships as a cost-effective alternative. This signaled a shift in how services were delivered and managed. This is also the time when our sister organization, AssetWorks, was created. So companies like AssetWorks developed and quickly improved their CMMS software, which eventually evolved into what is known as an integrated workplace management system, or an IWMS. In the 2000s and 2010s, the transition from a CMMS to an IWMS enabled facility managers to keep sharpening their facility management efficiencies. This led to a wave of sustainability initiatives, the emergence of smart buildings, and most importantly, the ability to focus on data-driven decision-making. And of course, most recently, the pandemic highlighted the importance of preparedness and flexibility within facility management practices. Also in August of 2021, FacilityForce was carved out from AssetWorks to address the specific needs of facilities and asset management within government organizations. Through this process, we believe the IWMS is now evolving into another term called Facilities Resource Planning, also known as an FRP. And Shane will go into a little bit more detail about FRPs near the end of today's presentation. So you can see throughout the past century, government facility management organizations began by creating basic maintenance and operation standards. And within a short time frame, like only 20 years, you can see how quickly new software technologies have delivered strategic data-driven practices, practices that prioritize sustainability, efficiency, and occupant well-being. These facility management trends have led to the rise of three distinct outcomes: facility management organizations, regulations and guidelines, and then government funding vehicles. So let's quickly take a look at the associated organizations that have supported facility management. Originally titled National League of Cities and Municipalities, this organization was established in 1924 to provide a platform for local government leaders to collaborate, share information, and advocate for the interests of their communities at a national level. Today, the National League of Cities works to strengthen the voice of local government in national policy discussions, advocates for the funding and support for cities, and promotes the well-being and prosperity of urban communities across the country. Only 3 years later, the National Association of Counties was formed with very similar goals as the NLC, but at the county level. 10 years later, the American Public Works Association was formed, and today the APWA serves as a leading organization for public work professionals, and they advocate for the role of public infrastructure and services in communities and promote the excellence in public works management and operations. Also, another fun fact, in 2 weeks, the APWA is having its annual national conference called the Public Works Expo in San Diego. Both Shane and I will be in attendance at booth number 1732. So if you are planning on stopping by that conference, please stop by our booth for a friendly chat. Now, I'm sure everybody here is familiar with the GSA, but do you know how and why it was established? During World War II, the United States government recognized the need for improved coordination and efficiency in its procurement and property management activities. The government was dealing with a significant increase in demands for goods and services due to the war effort. So in 1947, President Truman signed the Federal Property and Administrative Services Act into law, which created the GSA. And today, the GSA plays a critical role in facilitating the efficient operation of the federal government by providing various support services, managing federal properties, coordinating procurement, and overseeing technology initiatives. The GSA's mission is to improve government efficiency, reduce costs, and enhance the overall effectiveness of federal agencies. As I mentioned in my previous slide, facility management was rapidly growing in the 70s and early 80s. There was a need to create a professional organization that was dedicated to those facility managers. The International Facility Management Association was born, and this collective platform is used to exchange ideas, share best practices, and advocate for the recognition of their profession. And last but not least, the National Association of State Facilities Administrators was created in 1987 as a way for state governments to effectively manage their public facilities and properties. State facilities administrators are responsible for overseeing state-owned buildings, properties, and infrastructure. All right, those organizations help develop the federal acts and regulations we know today. However, the adoption of the new technologies has dramatically shaped those regulations within the past 20 years. So let's take a look at some of those regulations that impact facility managers today. In 2005, we saw the Energy Policy Act begin promoting energy efficiencies. The next year, federal real property management regulations provided guidelines on how to manage real property, including facilities. 2007's Energy Independence and Security Act mandated agencies to improve and report on energy efficiencies while implementing energy-saving measures. 2009's American Recovery and Reinvestment Act included funding for infrastructure projects and the software tools to manage and report on those projects. The Government Performance and Results Modernization Act of 2010 developed strategic goals, measured the performance, and reported progress to improve accountability and effectiveness. The Federal Information Security Modernization Act of 2014 focused on securing IT systems, including the security and protection of those facility-related data. And finally, the Federal Real Property Asset Management Reform Act of 2016 focused on the efficient management of real property assets. Now, those are just some of the legislation that's been enacted over the past 20 years, but there have been plenty of initiatives and guidelines that have evolved over the same time frame. The Green Building Initiative encourages energy efficiency through integrated data systems. This initiative is also responsible for the Leadership in Energy Environmental Design certifications, or also known as LEED certifications. The focus on IT modernization initiatives recognize the need to upgrade outdated IT systems in order to maximize operational efficiencies. The Open Data Initiatives promote data sharing and transparency within government organizations. This initiative has led to smart cities and digital transformation initiatives that you're probably already aware of or might have heard of. And finally, the emergency preparedness and response requirements mandate that all state and local organizations are prepared to respond to all emergencies. And as you know, newer facility management software tools aid in the planning, coordination, and reporting during and after emergencies. And the third outcome of these trends are the trends have influenced how our government funds the regulations, guidelines, and mandates. So here are some of the grants and funding vehicles that facility managers can use to purchase new technologies and software. Now, I won't go into more detail about each of these, but within the next month or two, FacilityForce will be presenting another webinar in conjunction with BDO to outline how facility management organizations can take advantage of these grants and funding vehicles. So please keep an eye out for that email once we've got the registration page all set up. All right, that was a lot of background, but I hope I've illustrated how the trends in organizations have influenced the need for facility management organizations to keep their technologies updated and their data integrated. So let's jump into the fun stuff now. Shane, thank you again for joining us. I'm going to now turn the presentation over to you.